Good evening. You're watching the main news on HKIBC. I'm Raymond Yeung.
And I'm Carain. Here's a look at tonight's top stories.
Nightmare continues for Tongcheng residents as mainland tourists crowd neighborhood.
Mainland border guards found to illegally occupy Hong Kong land and repeatedly cross border.
And world leaders attend Paris ceremony to mark World War I armistice.
Another weekend of nightmare for Tongcheng residents as an influx of mainland tourists from the Hong Kong-Zhuhai-Macau Bridge remains unresolved.
Daily necessities were even cleared from store shelves, while some complained about worsening public hygiene in the once quiet neighborhood. Riley Chan reports.
If you hadn't taken a closer look, you might have mistaken this as another mainland city instead of Tongcheng on Lantau Island. Since the opening of the Hong Kong-Zhuhai-Macau Bridge, mainland tourists have been pouring into the new town, just minutes away from the bridge's checkpoint near the airport. The once quiet town is particularly packed on weekends, with same-day travelers from across the border scrambling to clear shelves of daily necessities. They also seem to be quite proud of their deep pockets. This visitor from Zhongshan said Hong Kongers should be thankful that their mainland friends are spending in Hong Kong, which helps boost the economy. If not for our money, can you Hong Kongers possibly live such a good life, she asked. This open space outside a shopping mall has become resting hotspot for tourists. Some shop owners had used drastic means to turn them away, pouring water outside their stores so that tourists couldn't sit on the floor. Cleaners also complained about worsening hygiene, saying people were spitting and littering everywhere. In response, the Food and Environmental Hygiene Department has deployed extra inspectors to catch litterbugs in the area. Tongcheng residents have described the influx of mainland tourists as an invasion. This local resident said the place is so much dirtier since it became a tourist attraction. I feel sorry for the cleaners, as so many mainlanders sit and smoke around here, he said. It's chaotic. Tongcheng is crowded like Mongkok now. Sometimes I'd rather stay at home, another local resident said. Scuffles even broke out this afternoon as some frustrated residents launched a Reclaim Tongcheng campaign targeting mainland tourists. They urged visitors doing the infamous Asian squats to leave and return them a peaceful neighborhood, although some pro-establishment groups showed up later to rally behind mainland travelers. Riley Chan, HKIBC.
Hong Kong has played a significant role in China's reform and opening up, says Chief Executive Carain as she continued with the three-day mainland tour, along with more than 160 political and business leaders.
The group of prominent figures from Hong Kong is expected to meet President Xi Jinping in Beijing tomorrow. Led by Chief Executive Carrie Lam, the 163-strong delegation of elites from society continued their three-day tour in Beijing this morning when they attended a forum. Top Beijing officials were also present, such as Hong Kong and Macau Affairs Office Chief Zhang Xiaoming and Chairman of the National Development and Reform Commission He Lifeng. In her speech, Lam highlighted that Hong Kong has played various roles in the country's reform and opening up over the past 4 decades. As Hong Kong brought mainland enterprises to the world stage, the city also developed into an international finance, business and maritime hub, Lam said. She also pointed out Hong Kong enterprises remain some of the biggest investors in various mainland cities. Hong Kong will further assimilate into the country's development blueprint, Lam expressed hope. The entourage of prominent pro-Beijing figures had been invited to celebrate the 40th anniversary of the country's reform and opening up with a tour to Shenzhen and Beijing. They will wrap up the tour by meeting state leaders tomorrow morning. Former member of the country's top political advisory body, Chen Wing-ki, revealed that the delegation will be received by President Xi Jinping at the Great Hall of the People, followed by a luncheon with Vice Premier Han Zheng. Chen said the high-profile reception demonstrated the central authorities' recognition of Hong Kongers' contributions towards the country's development. The delegation will be heading home tomorrow afternoon.
Mainland border guards have occupied a 21,000 square foot site within the Hong Kong border for at least 6 years. An investigation by FactWire news agency has found.
Soldiers were also seen repeatedly crossing the border without permission through a bridge which seemed to be recently built. Riley Chen reports.
The site in question, about 21,000 square feet in size, is sandwiched between Sha Tao Kwok River and the Hong Kong border with Shenzhen. The garrison of the Guangdong Border Defense Corps sits just across the border. Drone footage captured by FactWire news agency shows the site, enclosed by mesh fence, has been converted into a farm. A sign outside the gate between the garrison and the occupied area states that the area was turned into a green garden in 2012 by mainland border guards with the support of superior authorities to rear fish and poultry as well as to grow vegetables. The farm is then connected to the garrison by means of a bridge which runs through Sha Tao Kwok River and cutting through the border. FactWire observed at least 5 mainland soldiers crossing the bridge while carrying gunny sacks and wheelie beans back and forth. Satellite images from Google indicated that the farmland was created in 2012 and the bridge first appeared online in June last year. When approached by FactWire, an officer responsible for the garrison, surnamed Yeung, insisted that the farm was to the north of the river and therefore fell out of bounds of Hong Kong's territory. The area on the other side of the bridge is a buffer zone, which we can enter without Hong Kong's permission. We can arrest smugglers or illegal immigrants in this area too, Yeung argued. When confronted with the irregularities, Yeung said he would raise the issue with Hong Kong police. The area believed to have been illegally occupied were separately held by 4 private landowners from Hong Kong, but none of them seemed to be aware of the situation. One of the landowners, surnamed Yao, said he could only wait for a response